Hey, welcome to Guitar Knobs, the guitars, gear, noise, and nonsense podcast, hosted today by these knobs.
Tony Dudzik, pick Guardian.
Jared Brandon Wound Pickups.
Hey everybody, it's me, Todd Novak. Welcome to the Guitar Knobs podcast. I could not be more thrilled today because I've got Tony Baloney here.
Yes. As
well as Jared.
That's me.
And we're all in the same. This is the first time since mid-March that we've been in the same facility
Since
together.
The poo hit the fan.
Yeah. So I'm pretty excited about that, actually.
Yeah, we knew you would be.
Yes, I would be. I am.
We are socially distanced.
Yeah. So, and the only person that you're going to hear that is not in this studio is our pal on the line. Who are you, pal on the line?
I'm pal on the line, David Gehring of Effects Layouts.
Oh, yeah. Awesome. So we've got David Gehring from Effects Layouts, which he just said. So that was completely useless.
Wow.
I'm a
That was
Mojo Jojo right there.
Good job, buddy.
Nice. You're like an analog or a digital delay.
Yes. Now, if people are wondering, like, well, who's this guy and what's he doing? Where's he from? Where can people go check out your stuff right now?
The easiest way is either on Instagram at @effectslayouts or just effectslayouts.com. That'll get you to a link to either the blog, which is what got me started, or the store, which is got me going.
Both of those things have helped your career out in some way, shape, or form. So now we'll get into all the stuff that you're doing and why we're talking to you and all that business. But take a minute, go check it out so that you have a little bit of reference, everybody out there.
Unless you're driving.
Don't do it while you're driving. All right, I think that's kind of it. We should just get into stuff.
Todd, what do we do on this show?
Well, that was the next thing I was going to say. Tony, what do we do on the show?
You flipped the script.
We like to talk about gear, specifically boutique gear. Even more specifically, the builders of this boutique gear. And boutique gear is things like guitars and amps and pedals and accessories and all the good stuff.
That is right.
We get the story behind the story.
Behind the story. And Jared, what else do we do?
Oh, man, we learn. We have the 101 episodes once in a while, and I really look forward to those because I learn something new every time we have a 101 episode.
Too true. So if you're not familiar with our show, and this is maybe one of your first time or maybe
last time.
Maybe your last time. Definitely take some time. You can go to Spotify or wherever you're listening currently. Also, I want to recommend maybe even hopping over to YouTube's. All of our episodes are now on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
The only screwy thing is if you look at like, when's the last one posted? You're going to see stuff from like 4 years ago. It's all mixed up, and that's just the way that they got imported over. So sorry. And if you're hearing one of those super old ones, you're like, show sucks. Then look for a higher number.
Yeah, start with about 50.
Start with a higher number. Work your way back.
30.
30 is yours.
Right.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. We're going to get into a couple announcements real quick. We want to say a big, giant thank you to All right. Tony's already cut off. That's right. Thank you so much to Rode Mics for providing these awesome pieces of equipment for us. We've got the Rodecaster Pro and the Procaster mics.
And an articulating arm.
Tony's got his articulating arm back.
That's right.
I'm so thrilled to be looking at these two bozos. Not them articulating arms, Tony and Jared.
That's right.
So thank you so much to Rode for providing our equipment. It
is awesome stuff.
And it just feels good to be liked.
And I like all the colors. I like all the new colors on the Rodecaster Pro.
Yeah, it's been a while since you guys have seen this.
Pink and purple. And
all the colors.
All the colors
Name
are on
all
there.
the colors, Jared.
Can you push that
purple.
big button on the upper left corner?
The one that says record? Oh,
no.
snap.
Oh.
No.
Oh, gotcha.
That's happened before.
Once.
Once was enough.
Yep.
Anyhow, we also want to do a little shout out to our friend and new executive producer, Mike D.
Yo,
Mike D?
He
Mike
goes
D.
by Mike D,
Mike D.
but it's Mike DeLuccio.
Hey.
Hey!
Right. He sent us a little note when he first joined, and I always, like to make a connection with whomever is joining as a patron. We truly appreciate everyone's support.
Even especially an executive producer.
Especially, yes. Well, you know what? Honestly, everybody at that level, I engage, man. I don't care what level you're at.
Really?
Absolutely.
Well, that makes it even more special then,
It is.
doesn't it?
So anyways, he says, hey, I've been listening for about 2 years now. The first, and you're just now getting, no, I'm just kidding. 2 years now. And the first episode was with Rob Chafe, and that hooked him. So, yeah, Rob, our friend, Mad Cow Amplification, follow him on Instagram. That is a hoot, because he does some awesome amp repairs.
Yes.
Which doesn't sound necessarily like a hoot, but he makes it entertaining. Anyways, he says, I enjoy all of the gear banter. It's just a great thing to listen to during my commute. I always look forward to the 4 on the floor. It is a treat. Well, for us, it is too. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah.
He says, regarding gear, because I ask, hey, what do you play? What's your rig? Tell me about yourself. He says, I play in 2 90s rock cover bands in the Toronto, sorry. And my gear tends to reflect that. Typically, I use a beat-up Mexican Frankenstrat.
Yes.
Mine currently has a U.S. Teleneck. Ha, ha, ha. Though an equally beat-up 1996 Hot Rod Deluxe with an Eminence Swamp Thang speaker.
There you go.
All right.
Nice.
That's a sound. He's got the sound. He says, as for my pedals, some of them alternate depending on the gig, but one that has been my all-time favorite go-to drive pedal is the Emma Reza Frazitz 2.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with that pedal. I am not familiar with that pedal.
I thought you were gonna say the Digitech Digawhammy.
No. Or the Digifrazitz.
Digifrazitz.
Yeah, no, the Reza Frazitz. He says it's been around for a while, but it is not available in most stores. It's the type of thing you just have to hear. It has a solid range of medium gain and just the right amount of mid-range to cut through the mix while still having a ton of body. Everyone who hears it is impressed. Well, now I'm going to have to...
Yeah, we have to check that one out.
I feel like I've heard the name Reza Frazitz before, but I've never played the pedal. I don't. So, anyways, thanks so much, Mike D, for
Welcome
sending
aboard,
that
Mike.
in, and
Mike
glad
D.
you are part of the patron family on guitarknobs.com. All right, that's it for the announcements and everything, and we're going to get into what's going on in our music worlds this week. Tony Baloney is going to lead us off, then we're going to hop over to David Gehring to find out what's going on in his music world.
Well,
Tony
let's see.
Baloney, go ahead.
This week. So I think last time we got together, I was talking about my Trini Lopez style guitar that came from DH Gate. Yeah, that came with the neck separated from the body.
Yes.
And as it turned out, as I took it apart further, there was a spot of glue on the front edge of the tenon, which in hindsight is a good thing, because had the tenon broke, it would be just either a wall hanger or, a trash can liner. Mm-hmm. And the only thing really holding on the neck was this spot of glue and the finish. So, I mean, had it not been dinged in shipping, it would have been probably fallen apart once I put proper strings on it. But
that would have been hilarious. You would have went to tighten it and it just went over.
It's a good way to break an eye or a window.
Yes. Right. So the good news is, multiple good news is, I got a complete.
I'm still hanging on multiple good newses.
Good newses.
Sounds like a Dr. Seuss thing.
That's
Good news to you.
That's a lot of good news, man.
That's many good news.
Yes.
So I got a complete refund from DH Gate.
Right.
Nice.
I didn't have to send it back.
You have a whole side business of getting refunds from
I know.
DH Gate.
You're like, hey,
No one's
mailman,
listening to this, are they?
kick that guitar around a little bit on your way here, would you?
Yeah.
So, and then I was able to actually, I took it over to my buddy Sean's, and we looked it over, and we got the neck glued in really nicely. Good angle, everything like that. So I'm real happy with that. The only hard part is cleaning up the finish, because a lot of it's a poly finish, and a lot of it cracked up around the outside edges of the neck joint. So I'm working on that. I've got a good color match. It's just I have to build up a ton of super glue to get it to that level.
Hey.
No, that's fun.
So yeah, so it's one of them things. But I think it's going to be a really cool guitar once all is said and done. Jared made me a set of his pickups, his PAF style pickups for it. I'm going to rewire the whole thing and put a proper kill switch like was on the actual Trini.
Nice.
And I'll make a bound guard.
What about the little plate, the nameplate thing with the diamonds?
Yeah, that's if you remember a
that's
long
right.
time ago. That was I had one made. It's the Tony Dudzik model instead of the
Nice.
Trini Lopez model.
I like it.
So it's an engraved plate that goes down on the tailpiece.
Let's go back to the super glue buildup.
Yes.
Now, has anyone tried to use the gel, the super glue gel?
That's what you have to use,
okay.
and you also have to use an accelerator that instantly catalyzes the super glue
Wow.
and makes it hard, so you can actually sand through it. So but you still have to build it up. I mean, we're talking this finish is probably a 32nd of an inch thick, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it's thick.
That's a lot of finish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I have to build up all of that.
I've done my fair share of refins and stuff like that, and that's blah.
Yeah.
I feel for you.
Well, poly is just one of those things. I mean, lacquer. I mean, you can do so much more with lacquer. It's so much easier because everything melts back together.
Yeah.
Poly is a lot more difficult. The only thing that really does stick to it is super glue, and that seems to really you can do fills, but it just takes time.
Yeah.
And it doesn't, and super glue does not take dye.
Blick 'em.
So you have to actually dye the wood first, and then put the super glue on top of it.
So does the accelerant come in a blue package?
No, it does not.
Okay.
What? I think Jared's making a Viagra joke. He's laughing really hard to himself.
He is.
Hardly stand
I
it.
found it funny. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
No, but actually it is. It's kind of an aqua green bottle.
There you go.
Yes,
Okay.
Okay.
it's a spray on.
Jeez. Okay. Anyways.
Good luck editing this
Yeah.
one.
Hey, David. let's see what David is doing.
What's going on in my gear world? Last week, I think, or maybe the week before, I got a new bass, which I'm excited about. It's a 2019 Fender Jazz. It looks like ice blue metallic, but they've renamed it, or it's slightly different. I can't remember what they call it now. It's got a maple neck. I think it's I think it's just the new Mexican standard version, whatever they call that, the Players series now. But I got a good deal on it. I'm primarily a jazz player, or not jazz player, a bass player, and I have another jazz bass, but it's a deluxe and has active pickups and never really nails the classic, jazz bass sound. I mean, it's close, but it's not quite there because the humbucker pickups and whatnot. So that's been on kind of my wish list. If one popped up for cheap, I was, just gonna nab it and hope my wife didn't get mad at me. So I got that last week, and I had to tweak it a little bit, but the action on it, but it plays beautifully, and I've played it out once and got a lot of hey, that's a nice looking bass.
Cool.
So that's been the biggest thing on my.
Do you
radar.
prefer a maple board over a rosewood board, or?
I have both. For guitar, I prefer a rose board over maple, but for bass, I have much less of a preference for some reason. Yeah, I've got both on bass. I play both regularly on bass.
Nice.
But yeah, on guitar I prefer a rosewood board, but even that's not, that's not a deal breaker. Yeah.
I don't know why, but you know what I just thought of? I thought this. I don't know. I really, truly don't know why this popped into my head, but I have to share it now. It has zero to do with everything you just said, except on my guitar, I prefer. I don't know why that made this happen in my brain.
This is a clutch moment where you're just engaging clutch hardcore, aren't you?
Yes. I'm double clutching, and I don't even have a double clutch. What I thought of was Thunderbolt Guitars, who makes is aluminum neck stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Aluminum neck guitar with an acrylic body that has the old style lawn chair ribbon. Mm-hmm. It's just filled with the old style lawn chair ribbon, so it's like a lawn chair guitar.
That might be a triple clutch.
Because the aluminum like that too.
Because the aluminum neck. And
the old lawn chairs.
The woven ribbon.
Yeah, it's woven.
Somebody's got to do that. That's amazing.
Is this a real thing, or did you?
I just came into my head. I don't know, and I have no idea why.
Maybe you should have stayed in your head.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hey, somebody out there.
Some things are better left unsaid.
That's awesome.
No, I would dig it.
Yeah.
Could you sit on it then?
You probably could if it's aluminum. Yeah.
Oh, you could make it like those old Guild Thunderbird, where like they had the kickstand. You could just have it like chair fold out the back of it.
Nice.
There you go.
Sweet. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Thunderbolt, make that. Anyways, next, Jared, what's going on in your music world?
Well, I learned a little lesson. I have a pedal board at my shop where I have a lot of gear. I also have a pedal board at where I practice at, because I just leave all of my gear there where we practice as well. So I have gear both at practice place up in Clyde, Ohio, and I have gear at home. Anyway, so I bought 2 tuners a while back, and I was like, I'm just going to get some decent tuners. It'll be all right. And they're just junky, crap, poopy tuners. They're little tiny mini tuners, and it's just not accurate enough for me. And it just made me So you could hear it. It just sounded like crap. So anyway, I spent a little more money and got the Poly 3 tuner.
Yeah.
So I got 2 of those, one for at home, one for practice. And you can do firmware updates on it. You can you could change it to drop D or just D. It's got all these awesome little.
Is it the full size one or the mini?
I think it's a full size.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a full size. So I'm really happy about that. I haven't tried them out yet, but gosh, man, it's something you kind of got to dive into, because they're, a lot more. There's a lot more things to deal with on those, and there is a cheap plug-in. And
so, do you like being able to just strum all the strings and seeing what's in?
Yeah, it has that choice. So you could strum all the strings like that, or you could do one at a time. I'm probably going to do the one at a time.
This is the Polytune.
Yeah, Polytune.
Yeah, that's what I have on my board.
Poly 3.
Fantastic.
Is it a 3?
I think mine's a 2.
Mine is a 3.
Yeah.
Jared's is one better.
I don't know if it
amazing.
Is. Maybe it is. Maybe not.
I think the 3 has the option to do true bypass or buffered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to take the cover off and there's a dip switch inside to switch that. But yeah, so I did that.
Dip switch.
Yeah. What kind of tuner do you use, David?
I have Polytune. I think it's a 2.
Yeah.
There we go. I guess I'm in the club.
I've got a couple old TU2s banging around, but I think they've all pretty much died at this point.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. The thing is, I mean, if you are gigging, I just find the Polytune to be such a good choice. If you're in a if you're up on a dark stage and you're trying to set up, it's just impossible not to see it, and it just doesn't take up much of your board. It's nice. Good product.
The other brand wasn't. It just didn't even tune it accurate enough. It was really bad. And another thing, I just learned that our band is going to have our first show, and We're going to play as our band name Stranger, and it's the first time in 24 years.
Wow, that's cool.
Wow, congrats.
So a social distant, we're going to rent out a venue, and it'll be social distant CDC guideline enforced show. So I really hope that works out.
Excellent.
You didn't ask me what kind of tuner I use.
What kind of tuner do you use, Tony?
I use a pitch.
So in my week,
I use a pitch pipe.
I believe it.
No, actually,
You probably don't even need a tuner, man, because you're.
I need a tuner.
Yeah.
No, I have a couple of old Korg pedal tuners. I used to use a Korg rack mount back in the day, and it's a pretty accurate tuner. But most of the time, I just use the Peterson eStrobo on my iPhone.
Oh, okay.
And because well, this is going to date me, of course, but I grew up on strobe tuners.
Right.
So.
You know, they came out with a pedal version of that.
Yeah, it's not a true strobo though.
Yeah.
It's a digital strobo.
Yeah.
But
it looks cool.
Yeah, it does look cool.
The original ones are really cool.
I actually thought about getting that, but then I didn't.
Then you stopped.
Yeah. So in
Todd, what's going on in your world, Todd?
Exactamundo. Well, I got a new toy, and I did a post about it. I did an unboxing of it, and it's from Hello Sailor.
Hello Sailor
Effects, and man, oh man, oh man, oh man, it is so fantastic. I just love it.
Why didn't you bring it to show and tell tonight?
Well, I didn't know you clowns were coming in, or else I would have. You didn't tell me until like too late. So anyways, if you're not familiar with Hello Sailor, I sincerely hope you take a moment and check him out on Instagram and then elsewhere. He was a guest. I can't remember what number, but he's been on the show.
He has.
And I've just stayed in contact with him because he's a great guy, and I enjoyed talking with him. And
he is truly a sailor.
He is actually truly a sailor. He is in the British Royal Navy, and he's sailing on. When he built my pedal, he wrote on the back, said built while on operations. I guess that's what it's called, ops. On the HMS Kent. I was like, man, this is too cool. And it just sounds fantastic. It just sounds so flippin' good, man. I think I tried to, the way that I explained it, maybe it was to you. I said it was like eating a giant meatball off of a stiletto knife.
Ooh.
Yeah. That's what I'm talking about.
That's quite a tonal palette right there.
Yes. Very good. Very good stuff. It's some kind of double drive that he said. I think I'm trying to remember what it's called. Is it the broad? I can't remember. It's just called Suck It. That's what it's called. Well, it's got a big pineapple on the front and it says Suck It.
I think it's called Meatball on a Stiletto.
Yeah.
It is now.
But it's a dual drive. It's a Kossoff. It's his. He made a drive called the Kossoff drive, and
Nice.
and it's got his version of a Rangemaster in there too. And man, it is. And it's just mine. Like there's not another one like it in the whole world. And
He said he'd make me one for $50.
Oh yeah,
You should jump on that.
That's a deal.
Anyways, he's a great guy. He's making really fun stuff, and it's all pretty
On
much
a boat.
one-offy stuff.
That's
on a
right.
boat. Yeah,
a sailboat.
yeah.
Not a sailboat.
And he uses like really kooky, fun parts too. It's great. So, anyways, big thanks to him for doing that.
What's going
Hello,
on in your
sailor.
world this week, Todd?
Right. Well,
I
can
heard
do-
you had a pedal.
I do. I got
Sailor
several,
pedal?
Yeah. How about some of this?
1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Hey Todd, I was wondering how much is a 3-inch cable from Tour Gear Designs?
I'll tell you how much that 3-inch cable from Tour Gear Designs is, Jared. Believe it or not, $5.
That's it.
And 32 cents.
Wow.
Wrap your head around this, especially if you've been looking elsewhere for patch cables. A 3-inch patch cable that goes from top jack to top jack pedal is $5.32.
That's less than $2 an inch.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You were trying to do the math while I was looking at you, and I could
right.
see your gears working. And you double checked it, and you reversed
rounded
the
down.
math to make sure, and you rounded down.
What's really
for the
great
food
about
bank.
it is that they fit. They will fit.
Yes, these cables are fantastic, super low profile.
Crepe cables, if you will.
Yeah, they are, and they're it's a flat cable, and we just can't say enough about them. We say about them on every show. Thank you, Tour Gear Designs, for sponsoring the 4 on the Floor segment. Please, if you are interested in these, and I highly recommend you check them out to get interested in them, if you go to tourgeardesigns.com/discounts/the guitar knobs, you're going to get 10% off of your entire order.
Nice.
That's right. And you're going to get more than one, I guarantee.
So how much would that 3-inch cable be with our 10% discount, Todd?
Well, that would be minus 32 cents.
No. It would be minus 53 cents.
I know. That's right, Tony. It's 53 cents off of that cable. But when you start adding them up, because you're going to want to do your whole board, probably.
Absolutely.
That's a nice chunk of change that you're saving right there.
Yes.
Anyways, check out tourgeardesigns.com/discounts/the guitar knobs and get yourself a stack of pedals. Cables.
Do it.
Pedal cables. They don't sell pedals.
Yet.
Yes, yet. Who knows? All right, we are going to get on to the 4 on the Floor from David Gehring from Effects Layouts. I'm very excited to hear what his 4 on the Floor is based on all the interview we're going to hear. So, hit it, Run.
All right, I guess my first pedal. This one's hard because it's. I'll just say it's the MXR Distortion Plus / the DOD 250 / the Ross Distortion. They're all essentially the exact same circuit, just in different boxes and maybe a different clipping diode or something. But with any of those 3 options, I can get the sound that's in my head more often than not. Yeah, it's just you can go to a tube screamer, you can go to something else, but I always end up coming back to one of those 3. I just call it the Distortion Plus, I guess. Yeah, that's probably my go-to drive pedal more times than not.
Is that the same one you've had forever?
I built one. It was one of my early builds I built for myself. I built a clone, and that one has stayed on my board more often than not.
That was and a Distortion Plus was the very first pedal that I ever bought.
Oh yeah?
Back in 1980.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to go wrong with one of those things. I mean, a lot of people will tweak and modify them and add tone controls or clipping options, which I do like a good clipping option, but yeah, I mean, so often you can just, if you don't need anything else other than gain, you throw one of those and crank your amp up, and yeah, that's a good time.
Yeah.
So let's just talk about, I mean, that pedal's been referenced many times on the show. Give us a profile of the sound on that. Can you elaborate on that?
It's got this classic, I mean, it's an op-amp based distortion, so you've got op-amp clipping plus hard clipping, and that's hard. It kind of can have a little bit of a brownish sound to it. I wouldn't go full brown sound. You're not going to sound like Eddie, I think Randy Rhoads did use one. I'm not 100% sure about that, but it gives just a more classic, not like full on 1980s distortion sound, but it covers such a wide swath of drive tones.
So like CC DeVille.
I don't actually know who that is.
Oh, Poison.
Oh. No, I mean, I guess you could.
Probably right.
I haven't tried. It's probably, yeah. But you can do some, real dirty blues with it if you want. You can. It just gives. I mean, I'm doing a terrible job of describing this thing, but it just gives that sound that I want in my head a lot of the times more than it doesn't.
Cool.
Yeah,
that'll work. I'll take anything really. And that worked.
And Todd has a lot of stuff in his head.
I do. What do you got for number 2?
Number 2 is the Ibanez DE7 Echo Delay, their Tone Lock series. When I was first learning how to play guitar and pretty late to that game. Actually, I just graduated from college and was very bored because it was 2008 and the recession. And so I'm living back with my parents and, you know, learning how to play guitar and fooling around. And my buddy said, "Oh, you got to get pedals." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And I got some Boss distortion that I probably sold less than a year later. And eventually I got around and he's like, "Oh, you need a delay." And I was like, "Okay." Well, I couldn't afford like a DD3 or, you know, any of those, you know, digital delays that, you know, like Slash used or any, you know, whatever. But one band that I really dug in college I looked up, you know, stuff that they used, and their guitar player used a DE7, and I found one on eBay for, I think it was like less than $50. Now they go for a lot more than that. I think it has a bit of a cult following, but
it is kind of weird. The Tone Lock series has been, you know, or the 7, you know, the 7 series is, you know, that has made its way onto the show many times.
Yeah.
And you're right. I think it does have a strange kind of cult following, and they don't last long when they come up on Craigslist.
Yeah. I don't know what it's just got a more distinct sound, I think, than from, you know, Boss stuff. Like, it's just, there's something about it just gives it a little extra character. And I think having the echo option to give more, I guess, slapback sound is something I always appreciate. And I'm not a huge delay guy. Like, I've had different delays, and I always struggled with just syncing it, you know, with what you're playing, and without tap tempo, and even when I had tap tempo, you know, you're not guaranteed that that's the rate the rest of the band is going to play at.
Right.
So I always kind of kept it more as an ambient, just let it ring in the background. And
I like hitting those on, punching them in on solos. I like to to do that.
Yeah, that's when I'd double up. Yeah, when I'm soloing. Yeah, the brief time I was...
hear it.
It's so low you can't hear it. Yeah. If you, especially if you stack it with something else and then you screw up, yeah, you better get it so low that you can't hear it.
Nice. How about number 3?
Number 3 is a new one I wish I had back in the day when I was actually playing guitar more. But it is, well, the one I have is a Red House Heatwave, but now would probably be called the Native Audio Rising Sun. And that's his, Mike's tap tempo tremolo. So much you can do with that thing in such a, you know, in just a 125 enclosure. Like, it's I'm a little bit of a fanboy when it comes to Mike.
It's easy to be.
He makes some killer stuff.
When he came out with that pedal, it was funny because he was working on it. We were in Nashville.
Oh, that's right.
And and I just kept. I figured out. Well, one of my favorite things to do with people is just find out where the knobs are and just turn them, just slowly, just keep turning them.
That's what they're for, buddy.
Right. And so with him, I was like, yeah, so your new pedal, the Sonoma, what's it called? What's the what? And he's like, no, bro, it's not the Sonoma, bro. It's a Heatwave, bro. And I'm like, yeah. And I just kept calling it the Sonoma.
Tacoma.
He just started
Tacoma, Sonoma.
Really, he's a super patient, lovely guy. So he didn't. But after like 3 days of that,
you just tortured him throughout.
Oh, Mike, tell him about your new Sonoma pedal, dude, bro, stop, bro.
That's great.
Yeah.
Poor Mike. That's great. And then fourthly would be, I mean, this was really hard to throw together, but
well, hang on. So before I so rudely interrupted you, what do you love so much about that pedal?
I'm like I said, I'm not a huge delay guy. I do like delay, but tremolo, especially if I'm going for more of like a bluesy, kind of like a Black Key, like early Black Keys vibe. I love using tremolo like that along with like a fuzz and just making it just gnarly. And that one, I love the tap tempo on it. I love that you can ramp the speeds. Because, a tremolo itself shouldn't really shape your tone too much, unless it's like a harmonic tremolo, which is doing stuff with phase and whatever. But his is just clean, and it just has a lot going on in such a small package that could be overwhelming, but once you spend a little bit of time with it, you figure it out pretty easily. And I respect the pedal as much for what it does for me playing as much as I do as a pedal nerd and electronics.
Yeah, his builds are pretty spectacular.
Yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah, right on. Okay.
Yeah.
So number 3 was the Sonoma.
Yes.
Yes, number 3 was
the
Native Audio Sonoma.
Tacoma Sonoma.
All right.
Yeah, I may go Sharpie that on that pedal.
Bro, don't
number
do
4. I won't do it. Number 4 is probably a Green Russian Big Muff. There's so many different variants of the Big Muff since EHX came out with it in the late 60s or whatever. But since I'm also a bass player a lot, which I don't really get to use fuzz very much on bass, but when I do, a Green Russian is normally where I start. And it's awesome, especially if I'm, like I said, I'm doing a Black Keysy type of vibe. Throw my guitar in the neck pickup, put that thing on, not overpowering, but get it nice and just full and thick fuzz, and throw on some tremolo, and I'm happy.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just thought of when you were saying that, I was thinking of the most interesting man in the world. I don't often play bass, but when I do, I play guitar. Oh dear.
So true.
You get a baritone then, right?
I don't often play bass, but when I do, I play guitar. Anyways, all right.
Yeah,
wow,
that is a baritone, or maybe a bass 6.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm on one tonight. All right. Well, that was a mighty fine 4 on the floor, man. Very
Thank
cool. We're gonna say just a real quick thanks to
John Fintel.
John Finnell. We are in the Relay recording studio right now in a back alley, dungeon type
Shack.
place.
Yeah.
We don't have it. We don't have the wallpaper up yet, but we're here.
But the shackles are up on the wall.
The shackles are up on the wall.
That's right.
It took me a second. I was like, the shadow. What? All right. Anyways, so
Different
John,
kind of dungeon.
John's an outstanding producer and recording engineer
And guitar tone guru.
And guitar tone guru.
Yep.
And so if you are interested in getting your guitar tone recorded well, check him out, johnfintel.com, and also relayrecording.com. And if you want to hear what that sounds like, you can check out the Valentinos.
Ooh.
Who are they?
The Valentinos. So anyways, so we're gonna head on over to our friend David Gehring, and he's going to tell us about effects layouts, all of the mystery surrounding it, the controversy, if you will.
Oh, no. Oh my. There's controversy?
I'm just trying to drum up people shaking their fists.
Great.
Controversy.
That's exactly what we need more of in this world.
I know. So, David, I early on in the early years of our show, I did reference your work, your feed on the Instagram. I was trying to explain to somebody, I can't remember who or what or why or where, but I was explaining, that you have, this guy, he's got the four. If you look, and it's got the layouts of the boards, and there's all kinds of them. That was my justice to your work. That's a bunch of stuff.
That's pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
it's a good thumbnail sketch.
Thank you.
This was pre-episode 50, wasn't it?
Yeah, pretty sure. So, I just thought that was a really intriguing thing. I'm always interested when somebody finds an angle in this guitar world full of so much that has been covered. There's, so many people say everything's been done. Well, no, it hasn't. And it continues to not always be done. And I think what you're doing is one of those things. So I just wanted to find out a little bit more and share it with our audience.
Thanks.
So just really briefly, give us a setup for what was the genesis with showing the different layouts of those, of so many pedals that are revered, famous, maybe some new, etc. What's going on with that?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's always been, DIY people out there. There always will be. I grew up with my dad's a farm boy from Iowa, and that was basically in my DNA. I couldn't escape it if I wanted to. I want a new electric guitar. Like when I was first starting to play, my dad had a big wood shop in the basement. It was, Dad, this is just like three pieces of wood. We could probably build this. And it turned from, my dad dragging me to help him in the shop when I was in high school to me dragging my dad to the shop to help me after college.
Right.
And so I've always had that, I'm gonna try this myself. I'm not an electric engineer or, the only understanding I have all of this is what I've gained from doing and just experience in researching and reading and basically homeschooled myself on all this. But it started out as, me wanting, some pedals and more pedals that I didn't have and couldn't justify spending a lot of money on and not wanting, crap, basically. I didn't want to go out and buy a really crappy pedal that was either going to break or just sound like garbage. And it was also something I've built my fair share of parts casters and a couple from scratch. And even a parts caster can take a fair chunk of time to put together. But pedals, there's a little bit more instant gratification. And you can, I can slap this circuit board together in a night, throw it in an enclosure, and then within a week or, even a day or two, I have a new tube screamer on my board. And so I started building, just kind of redirecting my DIY gear hobby, and started, learning. And I actually started building on strip board, which is just copper strips that has holes, a grid of holes about, I think it's like 1/10 of an inch. And there's a similar blog to my own called Tagboard Effects, which has been around for a good long while. And, they posted layouts for pretty much everything you could think of. And I started building on there, and it just started feeling too much paint by numbers. And when something went wrong, I didn't know why or where to look or how to, to fix it so much. And I thought, okay, I'm going to make my own layout so I can learn, okay, here are the, maybe common points of failure or, just what could go wrong. And just have a little better idea of like, okay, this is where my guitar signal is actually going through this circuit board. And I laid out stuff on VariBoard, and what bugged me the most about that was just how anything that like a pot or a switch or whatever, everything had to be run to the board from a wire, and the board ended up either just being floating inside an enclosure or, maybe duct taped down to the back of pots or something. And it just looked, it didn't look right. It just didn't look good.
Yeah. If anybody's ever built one of these, they understand. It's like when you're building, you're like, yeah, this is awesome, I'm making a thing. And then you put it in and you're like, is this really supposed to look like this?
Yeah. Why does this look like yesterday's spaghetti?
Yeah.
And so I branched out and I played around with Perfboard, which is similar to stripboard or VariBoard, but instead of there being lines of copper that are separated, every hole has a little pad of copper, and then you make all the connections yourself. And I did that for a while, and everything started. Well, my failure rate, not everything, but my failure rate went way down. And then I started etching my own circuit boards. And after a while, I was like, okay, maybe there's not a lot of layouts like these, the circuit board, the etchable boards or perf boards out there. There's some, but they're not in any concise place like there was on Tagboard. So I basically, I didn't come up with this, but I just basically, tried to replicate what they'd done, just in my own style. And so it just was something I did kind of as a way, not to kill time, but, when work was slow, or, I just had some free time. I didn't have kids at that point. I could throw a show on, my laptop or whatever, and look at a schematic and bang out a layout. And then I just started posting them, and I created an Instagram and for it to, try kind of drive some traffic towards it, because there wasn't, at the time, I don't think there was a ton of DIY, the DIY side of gear, or at least pedals on Instagram, other than, the odd hobbyist saying, hey, look at this thing I built.
Right.
Which was also me before I made the FX Layouts Instagram. So it just grew naturally, I think, over people who like to build the same way I do, and like making their own circuit boards. And it as much as it is a service, I guess you could say, to the DIY community, and a resource for other builders, it was an outlet for me, not only to do gear without leaving my computer desk, but just, it was kind of a design thing too. I've always enjoyed graphic design, and I'm a videographer and video editor by trade, so I'm at least adjacent to that. So it was just a lot of it, is how you can make the traces and do it in a way that is, the parts are placed aesthetically pleasingly without, it looking like all the Vero boards builds that I had done before. I met some buddies along the way that had a little bit more experience in building, and they're like, hey, you should try doing more board mounted pots. And like, there was a whole this is embarrassing, but there was a whole style of potentiometer out there that was designed to fit on circuit boards the way I wanted them to, and I didn't even realize it. And that was just like what rock have I been hiding under moment.
Unless you open up a box and unless you're aware of it, there's tons of things that people come to late,
Yeah. So that was still fairly early in the blog days, and so it was that opened up a whole new way of designing these things. And it was like, okay, cool. So we can get like 6 pots in one box and have them all board mounted, and that's 18 wires that people don't have to run. That's awesome.
That's one of the crap thing about putting something together is when you don't have the pots mounted to the board, and then you got a floating board, and it was
yeah. Not to mention, it just is another extra solder point, and another point of potential failure.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how it started.
So on your actual blog, which is effectslayouts.blogspot.com.
Thank you, Google overlords.
Yeah. So on that, it's more than just like, hey, I just posted pictures of these layouts. I mean, you really are, for someone entering, or maybe even just being a longtime DIY builder, there's lots of fantastic information here. You've got your general layout notes, which honestly, it's good stuff. It's helpful. Any little bit where you're providing some way for somebody to learn something, who knows, that person could look at that and go off and make a whole new brand that could be awesome. just from that inspiration. And you got PCB etching, so you're talking about, what is that, and you're just you got a good wealth of information here. Transfer image library.
That actually happened. Not fully. I wasn't fully aligned with doing that initially, just because it's just an extra step in the posting and design of everything.
Right.
But people were like, "Hey, what's the size of this board?" Like I was like, "Just open it up and like it's the size that it is." Because on my end, it worked fine because I had the native files. But when you upload it to Blogger, it messes with some scaling sometimes. And you can, if you know what you're doing, you can figure it out. But for someone who's new, it was like, oh, they're not going to know necessarily that, hey, look on the other side at the perf layout of it, count the holes, and you can figure out how wide and how tall the layout is, at least get close. So it was kind of, okay, yeah, I guess and that way people will stop asking me. I just make a scaled PDF of the image that needs to be transferred, and people can just download that and print it straight out of their laser printer or however they want to do it, because there's several ways to etch a board.
Yeah. And then you got drilling templates. I mean, honestly, the holes thing is such a permanent thing. It's just like, man, I really hope I get this right. And if you get it a little bit off, sorry, Charlie.
So there's $6 you won't get back.
Yeah. Current projects, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all the stuff that you need to basically start to learn how to do this, or at least maybe not all the stuff, but a fairly good chunk.
Yeah.
I appreciate when people are not only making cool stuff, but sharing how others can do that as well.
Yeah. I mean, that was the driving factor with this, is like, I'd learned a lot from other people. And this was just a way for me to give back to so many people who, I've been in their shoes, and, hopefully they can pass it along as well. And other people invested in me and in this hobby, and, taught me how to not, to hold a soldering iron correctly, and not like that stock image that gets passed around. Oh yeah, where the lady's holding it right up on the tip.
On the hot iron.
Yeah,
that's hilarious.
It's a good one.
Now, aside from showing people how to build stuff, you also have a library of fantastic boards that you've already done the work on, so you can just go there and just. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that section? That's kind of where the bulk of your store.
Yeah, that's where I'm at now. Almost every layout on the board or on the blog was done in a program called DIYLC, which is Do It Yourself Layout Creator, which is just a Java application, and it was like it's simple, it's easy to understand, easy to wrap your head around, and great for perf and Veroboard, and even single-sided boards for simple stuff. It's not the only cut that part. What it doesn't do is, if you make a mistake, there's nothing telling you other than you going back over it that, hey, you connected this 10K resistor to a 22 UF cap when it should go to this 10 NF cap or whatever. And so I feel like I was doing as much as I possibly could with the program. And so I started learning EagleCAD, which is a PCB design software that's been around for a good long while, and it's changed hands and is now part of Autodesk, I think, right? I have it open. I should know this. I pay for it every year.
Well, and while you're looking that up real quick,
yeah, Autodesk. I'm not crazy. Okay.
you can get one of these boards for, I mean, pretty much everything is about under,
Under
less than
15
$10.
Yeah, most everything's under 10, but
It's like $6, $7, $10, $6.
Yeah, it started as just me learning that program and wanting to do stuff that I could then send off to a fabricator. I wouldn't have to etch it myself, because etching is great, especially if you're just going to do a one-off. But if you want to build more than one, that can get old. And there's builders that do it and do it really well. But I wanted something that was, I don't know if I was getting tired of etching or I just wanted a new project. But yeah, I taught myself how to do Eagle and
explain what Eagle is really quick for those that don't know.
Okay. Eagle is a design software specifically for printed circuit boards, and it allows you to draw up a schematic, whether you're just copying, classic TS-808 off of the internet, or you've breadboarded something and you're drawing up a schematic based off something you've designed yourself. It allows you to draw up that schematic, and then that schematic is linked to the board that you create. So when you are routing all the traces on your circuit board, it relates back to that schematic, so you make all the right connections. And it's just it's a very there's a bit of a learning curve to it. I struggled for a while to really wrap my head around it, but I've really come to really enjoy it. And it just gives you a little extra. I mean, it's a professional software. People use it to create motherboards for computers and way bigger, higher level stuff.
If you believe in science.
But yeah, so it's a good, and it comes. You can get the freeware version for student use or for non-commercial use, and then as I've started making money off of it, I pay for the professional license, and but you don't have to have, if you're just trying to make a couple boards here and there. You can do that for free. It's a top notch.
And you've done
software.
a couple tutorials on that, and obviously YouTube. There's many tutorials about that on YouTube.
Yeah,
but that is something that you've done a couple of those.
Yeah, and people always ask. I need to make an FAQ on my Instagram that says, "What layout software do you use?" Because anytime I post, me in process, a picture of me in process of designing something, I get, "Hey, what software, sir? What software is that?" It's Eagle. It's EagleCAD. It's in the hashtags. But no, I'm kidding. But I'd had people say like, "Hey, how do you use Eagle?" And it's like, well, that's a $10,000 question. I can't just tell you that in Instagram comments or something.
Oh, sure you can.
It'd be like 50 of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanted to. I remembered what a struggle it was for me to learn, and I'd finally found some tutorials someone else had made on an old version of Eagle, and they were doing it specifically for pedals, because most of the tutorials that were out there on YouTube are not pedal related, and pedals and synths and stuff. A lot of people come to them, and trying to build them and even make layouts are coming to them without, like myself, not without a EE degree or anything. And so I wanted,
engineer.
Yeah, thank you. And I wanted to just make it a little easier for someone who's trying to, either up their game or, just have fun with the hobby, to make it a little easier for them to learn a program that does have a bit of a steep learning curve. But once you get it, I was hoping, my hope with those is to help people get it quicker than I did.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's a great way to get into pedal building, especially, there's kind of two ways of doing it. If you aren't going to design the circuit, you can buy a kit, that's a super fun way to do it. And you literally don't have to hardly do any thinking. You're just doing, which is
cool.
Paint
by numbers. Yeah.
And that's a great way to learn components,
Absolutely.
to learn soldering technique, etc. But the next step up from that would be, okay, I'm going to get, a board that you've designed, and then you have to get all the little parts and stuff, which that is a little bit more of a challenge. But if you've got a friend who is adept or is a builder themselves, or just reaching out to the community, there's ways that you can get that, and then you can get your drill template and literally build your own as you want it around that circuit, which is and it's still going to be what you'll have, like maybe $25 invested, maybe 30.
Yeah, probably 30.
Yeah.
If you're sourcing everything, piecemeal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a fun way to do it. So and I always like on Instagram, scrolling through, and I see, there's a neat circuit that I'm not aware of, and that makes me go try to find that pedal, which is so we're cross learning here, because now we can learn about a new brand, we can learn about what that thing does, and maybe you end up wanting to get that pedal, but also build that because you love it so much, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, I've definitely. I've laid out. Oh gosh, probably over 1,000 circuit boards.
That's incredible
at this point. Some of them are. I've laid out the Big Muff probably 20 times, and same for the two screamer, and there's a lot of pedals out there that are very derivative, and that's fine. There's no. You mentioned earlier talking about your Hello Sailors pedal. He threw a Rangemaster, or his take on a Rangemaster, in there. A Rangemaster is literally 8 parts of the actual circuit, and it is such a hard booster to beat. It adds just some. It's just a cool dynamic, especially if you can nail the old school germanium sound. There's a reason it's still a mainstay in either in the DIY world or on gigging musicians' boards. So,
well, cool, man. It's been really fun talking to you about your business here, and I think just letting people see, hey, here's another great resource. And if nothing else, even if you don't end up building your own pedals, that's not for everybody,
No. Yeah.
But at least
can't all do it.
You're going to learn. I guarantee you're going to learn about a pedal that you're not aware of. That's absolutely. Tony guarantees that.
I guarantee it.
Yeah, I'm constantly learning of. Oh, hey, can you do this pedal? And I'd never even heard of that brand, let alone. It's funny that you mentioned the guy I had with the Emma Ritz Frets and whatever that thing is.
Yes.
Somebody requested that a couple years ago, and I was like. I literally thought someone had a stroke and on their keyboard, because it's like, what? And then I Google them, and sure enough, there's this brand Emma that's got a bunch of very strangely named pedals, and they have a very unique sound, and those actually do have the ones that I've seen circuit topography of. They do have a pretty unique approach, and it's really cool. So.
Cool. Yeah, that's Emma Electronic.
Yeah,
I believe. Yeah, those are strange and fun. Neato. Yeah. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a little. My friend, my colleague across the aisle here, and if we were in British court, we'd all go, bubble dash, boulder dash, blah, 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 blah.
That's right.
You guys don't want to get into the wigs, do you?
Todd might.
Yeah. Anyways.
Besides Todd.
Yeah. Jared, enlighten us, buddy.
Well, at this time of the show, it's time for your favorite little jig.
He's all choked up.
Your little ditty. It goes like this. Would you rather? All right.
Wow. Hey, we got tremolo again.
That's right. This week's Would You Rather from executive producer, a brand new executive producer, Mike T. D.
Mike D. Hey, we referenced him earlier.
Yes, we
That's
did.
right. So he sent us a Would You Rather, and it goes like this. Would you rather have a board full of your favorite pedals running through an inexpensive, non-modeling solid-state amp, kind of like, the PV Bandit, or would you rather have an early 2000s patch-based multi-effects processor through the amp of your choice?
That's a nasty question.
It
Is
is.
the multi-effects processor bypassable?
Right. No, you have to run through it.
What kind of multi effects? It doesn't say.
In early 2000s, patch-based. Mm-hmm. I actually used one in the early 2000s.
Okay.
It was a GNX3.
Oh,
Digitech.
Digitech, yeah.
Yeah, there's an awful lot of those.
Stinky.
When you play top 40 bands, they come in handy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Tony, kick us off there, buddy.
Well, I do love me a PV Bandit, so
That's right.
That's what I'm going for. I don't even need the pedals. I'm just going to go straight into PV Bandit.
That's right.
That's what you're doing?
No, I'll take the custom pedal board. I just have never gotten along with multi-effects processors.
Yeah.
Just haven't. I don't like the way they sound. I don't like they confuse me. Whereas if I have a pedal and I know what that pedal does and I know where the settings are,
Yeah.
that makes sense to me.
You're like my old grandpa. He's like, I liked it when there was just a radio with one knob.
Back
turn
in
it
the
on,
day, you'd had and then they
volume
went and put
button.
a tone knob on it, and it
Right.
confused me.
and then you had a tuner knob. That's it.
Yes.
Right?
I don't care. I still don't like multi-effects processors.
Okay.
So I like the idea. And to be quite honest, I mean, if you are able to adjust your pedals to a point where they sound pretty good, the Bandit or, whatever amp is like that is going to be pretty much invisible anyhow, especially the clean channel on a PV amp.
They're clean.
They're clean and they just reproduce what you do. Just don't turn the distortion on, whatever you do. Never turn the
Interesting.
distortion on a PV. Never.
All right.
Depends on the PV.
Tony Baloney, thank you for that. Let's see here.
Never.
How about Jared?
I am definitely going to do the multi-effects processor
Big ears.
through.
Do you have one that you like?
I'm just going to say what I used back in the day. I had a PV 5150 combo amp. It was loud as could be.
You needed an aux back then.
I did, but because they always told me to turn down
Yeah.
all the time because that thing was ungodly loud. But yeah, I used that, and I used the multi effects through it, and we had several different songs with different effects that I used, and I had it all set up. It took me, it wasn't too godly awful to learn, but once I learned it, it was easy to plug stuff in, and I actually had the songs on the set list, and I had the pedal set to that, or I had to press the up button, and I was on the next song. So I had it set up right, but the sound wasn't that great. I mean, the tone wasn't, I remember a few guys saying, "Oh man, that's not really set up really well. I'm sure that amp can sound better than that," And then I was all defensive because I didn't know any better back then. But
And that's every guy at every gig.
pretty much.
There's always that guy at
Now I
every
know because I listen to the guitar knobs.
Yeah.
you go.
That's right.
Well, and we mentioned the PV, the PV Bandit, just as like sort of like that's just a little go-to. But I mean, you could choose whatever,
Never.
whatever your
Never put the
Solid
distortion
state.
on. Never.
non. Okay. Let's see. Let's find out from David. What does he think?
I mean, I got to go with Tony on this. There's something about PVs, one that I have always loved. But yeah, I'd rather have my choice of pedal board and a clean PV to play through solid state than a multi-effects rig.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be unanimous.
Well, no, not Jared.
Well, what?
I went with the.
You went multi-effects.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you went with the multi
Because
effects.
I've done it before. It actually worked out. It
Yeah.
wasn't the best, but it actually worked.
Well, I was really torn on this. I'm going to go with what I have in my house, which is my PV Classic VTX 212 clean with my pedal board. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No, as I said,
Why are you
in
arguing
terms of
with
a
me, Tony?
clean channel, there are very few amps that do that as well as a PV.
Yeah.
It's, that's that. I mean, I think Hartley came from the school of, Leo Fender, where, you want good sonic dynamics.
Hartley PV came from the school of
make it like a tank.
Here's this one thing.
Heavy is
so heavy that everyone hates you at loading.
Yeah. Here's one thing you can do, or you can do all this other bull crap. Anyway, so all right, that was a mighty fine question. If you out there listening have a great question for us to answer, we would love to. Send us your would you rathers. You can email them or DM me on Instagram. We'll do that, man. We got a few people to thank real quick.
Oh, yes, we have a few
Tony
people
Baloney.
to thank. I'm going to start today by the creme de la creme.
Okay.
You want me to go super slow, Todd?
No.
Yes.
You sure?
No, I want us to go through them, but I don't need the extra 20 minutes of editing that you're going to make me do.
Really?
Yeah, for real.
Okay. Well, let's just say you want to sponsor this podcast.
Okay.
You want to go over to patreon.com/The Guitar Knobs and find one of 3 levels, I believe.
Yep.
That you can participate in.
Probably soon to be 2, by the way, just saying.
Probably soon to be 2.
Yes.
So one of the 2 levels, you got a 50-50 chance.
Yes.
So you go in there, you get all the info, you see all the great stuff that you get.
Yep.
Each level comes with its own bevy of, T-shirts and barefoot buttons and stickers and keychains and
They're colorful.
and giveaways,
Pins and
oh
all
yes,
kinds of stuff.
giveaways,
Lots of
pins,
giveaways.
stickers, you name it, it's all there.
Flashlights.
We got a good one coming up, everybody.
I can't wait.
Giddy up.
Let's do it.
Can't hardly wait. The top of the heap, if you will, is our executive producer level.
What?
Yes.
That's not the top of the heap.
Well, no. The top of the heap
The top of the top of the heap.
is our grand poobah level.
Yes.
So I'm going to switch it up.
Penthouse of the top of the heap.
Yes, this is the penthouse with the view.
Yes.
Not on the bad side
Wearing
of the building.
fezzes while listening to
That's
the
right. So one of the things that you get, Todd?
Jared?
Jared? Is that Jared? I forgot what you guys look like. At the executive producer level, what happens, Jared?
You get to have your name read on the thing.
On the
Yeah.
thing, along with all the other great stuff. So I'm gonna mix it up today for you, Todd. I'm gonna start with our grand poobahs.
Yeah.
These are our fez-wearing brethren.
They get a fez and they get a Guitar Knobs pedal board flashlight.
flashlight. Oh my God, it's
And all the other stuff.
all the other stuff. The stuff just keeps
And
coming.
more.
I mean, it's
The stuff
overwhelming.
with the things. You always got to have the
right.
stuff with the
You
things.
got stuff,
right.
things,
Exactly.
and your name right on a thing. So without further ado, special thanks to these grand poobahs.
Do it.
Jonathan Jerusik, Corey Nigro, David Kaminga, Cody Lane, Cody Foster, Sean S. Tommy Manasco, Mark Garton, Christopher Marshall, Adam Johnson, Steve Keys, Zach Melton, and Tim Novak.
Yes.
The boys.
Thank you. And I'm going to go back to our regular executive producers because these guys deserve a tip of the fez, even though they can't wear one till they become a grand poobah. Nudge, nudge, wink, wink, say no more. Mm-hmm. Special thanks to Tom Barazin, Martin Cliff, John Daly, Chris Carney, Darren Gregory, Doug Christ, Michael Van Zant, Ken Sayers, Brian Robison, Michael Senchuk, Stefan Lamb, Johnny Knowles, Anthony Lanthrop,
Anthony.
John Anglin, Tyler Bray, Brad Partridge, Chris Heidel, John Esterly, Doug Gann, Justin Jones, Brett Alexander, James White, Matt Hart, Liam Martin, James Pennington, Richard Kendall, Levi Main, Tig Harmon, John Williams, and Michael D.
All right. Yeah. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. We want to say a ginormous thank you to David Gehring of Effects Layouts. Thank you, my friend. Where can people find you and get your stuff?
All right, so you can find me at effectslayouts.com, and that way you can get to the blog or the store, or on Instagram at Effects Layouts. And if you're a Guitar Knobs listener, and if you head over to the store and punch in Guitar Knobs into the coupon code at checkout, you'll get 10% off.
Fantastic. That is outstanding. And just think, that means you can get a whole bunch, or at least several. You can get several of these awesome layout boards and start making a couple of your own pedals. I like that.
Get into the hobby.
And then you can go over to the site and download the drilling template. And oh, man, that's fantastic. Thank you for doing that. We really appreciate it, man.
Todd's a big fan of the drill templates.
Well, it's kind of the scariest part of the whole thing. I mean, it is.
Do you use a drill press?
Well, if you have a drill press, if you don't,
just go to Harbor Freight. They're like $40.
Yeah, there you go. Go to Harbor Freight. But if you don't, you just have your friend hold it with their hands.
And have your friend definitely have your friend hold it.
Put it on your lap.
Yeah.
Yeah, and make sure you snug it right up towards your gut.
Yeah, perfect. All right, thanks, man. Thanks for doing that. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Tony Baloney, where can people find you?
Just go over to pickguardian.com. You'll find out all the stuff that I do. Has all my contact information. Check out some of the stuff. I have some items that you can order right online, but a lot of what I do is custom work. So shoot me an email. Let me know what you need. I'll take care of you.
Fantastic. And Jared?
BrandonWoundPickups.com. Check out the stuff there. Or go to Instagram and Brandon Wound Pickups and all the good stuff. I do lots of rewinds. You'll start seeing a little show called Rewind Time with Brandon Wound Pickups.
Awesome. Can't wait to see that.
Yep.
You wearing pants in that one?
You can't tell.
All right. You can send me an email, Todd at theguitarknobs.com. You can also DM me on Instagram. We do respond quickly. And we would love to hear what you have to say about just what do you think about the show, what's going on in your guitar world, any thoughts you have on the guests, and, of course, the Would You Rathers.
Do it.
Send those to us, and we'll get right on it. I think that's about it. David, again, one more time, thank you very much. It was great having you on the show. Glad to call you a friend now.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
You bet. And in the meantime, gentlemen, Tony and Jared,
we're here.
Maybe again.
Maybe again.
I hope so. Have a great guitar week, everybody, and subscribe.
Yeah.
And take your time. Let it marinate.
Hold on real quick. Jared, that thing's pointed at your nose, buddy.
I miss the micromanagement.
It's going to be amazing.
Unless I'm off my meds.
Jared said
Delacello.
Delacio? And I said, no, it's Deluccio. And he goes, Deluccio.
A little closer to the mic. Jared, bring that, get it a little closer into the mic. Come on, bring it in. That's
You chose to come to the studio, dude.
Yes.
Right, yeah, that's true.
Pass it the meatballs.
All right, feed me the question again, because I've already forgot.
Yeah, line. That's totally my bad. It's usually Tony that messes that up. Anyways, here we go.
Good to be back.
Well, that's it for these knobs. Please visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/theguitarknobs. Visit our website at theguitarknobs.com for all of our past episodes, 4 on the Floor blog, and other good stuff. You can connect with us on social too at our Facebook page and share your gear and stories on our Facebook group. Also, be sure to check out our Instagram at Guitar Knobs. Catch you next time.